It's time for the Some of the Above Education News Comedy Quiz, the show that's evidence-based and proven to restore summer learning loss. And now, here are your hosts, Alex Cogitani and Paul Richmond.
Hey, and thanks to our great student announcer, and also a big shout out to our in-show band, Tommy Dunbar and the Teacher's Pets. And a big welcome and happy summer to all of you, our listeners. I'm Alex Cogitani, education speaker, author, and California Teacher of the Year. And this is the show where we invite you to play along with two special guests as we ask questions that help you get informed and laugh a bit about our ever-changing world of education. And here beside me, as always, is my co-host and all-purpose education policy guy, Paul Richmond.
Hey, thanks, Alex. It's great to see you. And welcome to all of our listeners as well. And I want to mention, too, that on this show, we will ask some tough questions. But unlike U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, so far we have not been wrestled to the ground and handcuffed by federal agents.
Well, there's always tomorrow, Paul. In the meantime, let's meet our two special guest contestants. I am absolutely psyched because this month we welcome two highly accomplished educators and leaders from two sides of the country. First, she's the executive director of the Maine Principals Association, where she influences educational leadership on a statewide scale. Before that, she was an elementary and middle school teacher and principal in some of Maine's most remote and under-resourced schools. She's also the author of a great book that explores the neuroscience behind why we remember certain teachers. It's Dr. Holly Blair. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. I think that this podcast is great. It's fun, it's informative, and I get to hear from colleagues all across the country. So thank you very much.
And joining Holly today, he's the founding principal of the Social Justice Humanitas Academy in Los Angeles. He's also now a coach and consultant and the guy you call when you need help turning around a low-performing school. And he's a fellow California Teacher of the Year. It's Jose Luis Navarro.
Hey!
Hey, Alex. Hey, Paul. And Holly, great to meet you. It's wonderful to be here.
Welcome to both of you. And for me, it's also a thrill to meet you both. And we're so grateful to you for being on the show. And you're both educators and leaders with lots of great experience and knowledge. So we're excited to hear more from you. And I have to ask up front, are you feeling ready for the quiz?
Do it.
I heard the first podcast. I'm a little nervous. Let's keep expectations a little bit low. Okay.
Okay.
They were hard questions, Holly. I'm telling you.
Well, I think the two of you are up for it.
All right. Well, hey, it's time to dive into our first quiz game, the one we call Surfing the Headlines. Hit it, Tommy.
So for this game, Alex is going to ask each of you a question about an education news story that made waves. Correct answers are worth 1 point, unless Alex or I arbitrarily decide they should be worth more, because the way today's show works, we're going to give away points the way Congress gives away tax cuts to those who need them the least. All right. Also important, at the end of the show, the contestant with the fewest points has to come back and join us again in the future. So if you want to be done with us for good, well, you have to earn the most points. Otherwise, we invite you back. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, well, there have certainly been a lot of wave-making headlines out of Washington, D.C. lately, and we will get to some of those, but we're not going to start there because, well, not everyone has to prioritize a certain someone's agenda. So, Jose, this first Surfing the Headlines question is for you.
I'm scared.
You got this. According to a recent analysis, the toughest major to be accepted into in the entire University of California system is what?
Structural engineering.
Well, it's not engineering or computer science, but I will say it does involve working long shifts helping people feel better.
Ooh, medical? Doctor?
Keep going. You're almost there.
Medical doctor, obstetrician, OBGYN, I'm not sure.
Who are often the really helpful ones when you go to the ER or you see a doctor?
A nurse.
That's right. You got it.
There you go.
Nursing.
Yes. All it took was 18 tries. That's awesome. I'm good.
You still get a point, Jose Luis.
I told you, Holly, it's hard, man.
Well, you are correct. It is nursing. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, just 1% of the nearly 6,000 yearly applicants to the UC's undergraduate nursing program get in the door. That's 118 nursing students out of nearly 12,000 who applied. So, no joke, it is actually tougher to get into a UC nursing program than it is to get accepted to an Ivy League school like Yale. When asked about the difficulty of just getting into a nursing program, one applicant said the pressure is way beyond 120 over 80.
And just to add on this story too, so the main reason why the UCs are turning away 99% of the applicants who want to earn a good living and do something meaningful like save lives, it's money. Specifically, nursing programs cost a lot to operate because they require small class sizes, expensive computerized mannequins, hands-on placements in hospitals. So students, here's a pro tip from me. If you're applying to college and you want to increase your chances of getting in, consider majoring in a subject that contributes less to society, like political science. That's what I did.
Yeah, then you could end up hosting a monthly quiz podcast.
Well, co-hosting, Alex, co-hosting.
That's right. You better believe it. Okay, Holly, our next Surf in the Headlines question is for you. Earlier this year, 16 and 17-year-old students in Newark, New Jersey were allowed to do what for the first time?
They were allowed to vote for school board members.
You know your stuff. Absolutely. They can now vote in local school board elections. It's the first time anyone under 18 has been able to vote in New Jersey. It's actually part of a growing movement to give students more voice. About a dozen cities in the U.S. now allow it. And hey, quick bonus question for either of you. Do you know which state it started in?
California.
Nope. I'll give you a clue. The state's name begins with an M.
M?
Rhymes with Fairyland.
Got it.
Say it again, Holly.
Well, I think Holly got in there first.
That's right. It's Maryland. Tacoma Park, Maryland was actually the first U.S. city to lower the voting age in 2013. 8 other cities in Maryland also now let 16 and 17-year-olds vote. And besides Newark, students in Berkeley and Oakland, California voted for the first time last fall. A rallying cry for students in this movement has been no decisions about us without us.
Yeah. And you have to think, too, that kids should be really good at filling out their ballots, right? I mean, after so many years of practice, we put them through taking those fill-in-the-bubble standardized tests.
Jose, you were a social studies teacher, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thoughts on letting students that were, when they were your age vote? Not your age, but the students you teach.
I feel like anytime I go to a dinner party, it's kind of like a doctor. Everybody goes, "Hey, what is this? What is this?" Well, everybody always asks me because I'm the educator. What do you think we need in schools? If we just did what, Jose? And I feel like if we did a little more critical thinking, if we just taught critical thinking, because regardless if you're red or blue, conservative, liberal, if you just thought about it, and I think about the fact that Fox News has done to our parents' brains what our parents thought video games were going to do to ours. It's really kind of loaded down for them, and it's really spoon-fed them and not allowed them to critically think. I think our students will steer our education system and how we train people, because if everyone's concerned, well, they're easily influenced, as if adults aren't. I think we're actually might see I'm very hopeful that we're going to see a tide change, that there'll be a lot more critical thinking, a lot less bubbling, like you were mentioning, Paul, a lot less of the standardized test, a lot more of the critical thinking, because when you look at a ballot, it really matters. I think it's going to be a very important thing. And if you're going to give students voice, you got to give them voice. You can't just give it lip service.
Yeah. Well, that's well said, Jose Luis. So, Except I now am going to cross Fox News off our list of potential sponsors for the podcast. But.
My bad. Sorry about that.
Ollie, what do you think? Would it work out on the East Coast, or what do you think about students voting in Maine?
It would absolutely work. And I would hope that they would do that. I mean, more and more local school boards actually have students on the school board. I mean, even the State Board of Education has 2 student reps. So student voice is definitely needed. And I think that having them being the students, have the opportunity to share their opinions, share what they want versus what adults tell them that they want, I think is significant, right? And this is an opportunity for kids to hear from the people that may be making decisions on their behalf, and they might have some influence on that. So I think it's great.
All right, Jose Luis, this next question is for you. Idaho's Attorney General, Raul Labrador, recently issued a legal opinion stating that...
I'm sorry.
Let me try that one more time.
You threw him off.
Well, you said Raul in Idaho. I didn't believe you. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Let me try that again. Idaho's Attorney General Raul Labrador recently issued a legal opinion stating that banners in Idaho public school classrooms which say everyone is welcome here are what?
They're banned.
That is right. They are illegal in his state. The Attorney General was asked to provide guidance to schools for implementing Idaho's new law, House Bill 41, that went into effect July 1st. The new statute forbids school employees from displaying flags or banners that show opinions, emotions, beliefs, or thoughts about politics, economics, society, faith, or religion. Terms so vague that the Idaho Department of Education asked the Attorney General to clarify it for school leaders.
Something as simple as everybody is welcome. And that breaks my heart. When you think of DEI, the idea of diversity is a good thing. Equity, don't we all want inclusion? I want your voice included as well, whether you agree with me or not. But ultimately, I want everybody to belong. So everybody's welcomed here, being banned. That literally breaks my heart because of what I truly believe in. If people feel safe, if they feel welcomed, they perform better.
I have to admit, I hadn't heard about this story until just recently, even though it first got national attention back in March.
Oh, well, Paul, that's because you need to be getting more of your news from social media.
I guess so. I still read papers. But anyway, for those of you like me who hadn't been tracking this, in March, there was a teacher, Sarah Inama, who refused to remove the Everyone is Welcome Here banner that she had posted in her classroom in the West Ada School District in Meridian, Idaho, even after administrators told her it violated district policy. The sign includes, and you may want to sit down for this because this is truly subversive, an image of 10 raised hands in different colors, ranging from dark brown to pale pink, underneath the Everyone is Welcome Here wording. And it's those raised hands that have the district and Idaho's Attorney General so up in, well, arms.
Well, you know, as part of the AG's opinion, he also claimed that the teacher began displaying the signs in her class in 2017. However, she told IdahoEdNews.org that she wasn't even a teacher in 2017 and that she didn't put the sign up until 2020 or 2021.
Holly, is that an issue in Maine? Like literally like this, people this freaked out about equality or equity?
Yes. Well, yes and no. Maine is an asylum state. And so when when we had people from other countries start coming to Maine, they're very much accepted and welcomed. And actually one of the big pushes in education, and I'm sure other professions, was they wanted to have teachers and administrators in front of kiddos that looked like them, that had a similar background to them, right? To help them feel welcome and understood. And so that's been the push, that's been the move. So then when all of a sudden it just, a year ago, it just changed and now it's bad and you can't advertise and you can't look for and you can't encourage. And unfortunately, it's some of those kiddos that are the most vulnerable that are really getting hurt the most. And that's what's not okay.
This just in too, I was actually just handed this alert. Not to be outdone by all the ridiculousness in Idaho, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has announced that henceforth the letters D, E, and I will be removed from all alphabets in classrooms across his state. When asked to comment, one elementary teacher remarked, that's not such a goo-ah.
Well
All right, you guys got that?
Well, then what's Florida going to be then? Florida,
Right.
like what?
Hello.
For those of us at home who, like me, who might not have got that one the first time around, I just realized if you take the letters D, E, and I out of the alphabet, all that's left of a good idea is just goo ah.
Come on, Alex. Keep up, Alex. Keep up.
I like to surround myself with good people. That's how I get through. That's how I've always gotten through.
With goo people.
Speaking of good people, Holly, this last surfing headline is for you. 10 Republican U.S. senators recently signed a letter encouraging the release of more than $6 billion for schools that the Trump administration has done what to?
I would have to say, oh gosh, there's so many options. Cutting funding for technology.
Close enough. The answer is withheld. The administration has withheld this funding that schools and states were counting on receiving July 1st, although we would have also accepted as correct answers the terms impoundment, froze, paused, clawed back, or unnecessarily and improperly screwed with. In fact,
I would say cut off.
Yes.
That's just me in Maine. I'm just saying.
I mean, you have to hand it to this administration. They managed to expand my vocabulary daily. It's like a word of the day calendar with 365 synonyms for wiggling out of commitments.
So just to fill this story in a bit more for our listeners, and being the policy geek I am, $6.8 billion was approved by Congress and signed off on by this president in March of this year as part of a bipartisan budget continuing resolution. And that was all supposed to go out to schools by July 1st. But with the funds now being impounded, school districts across the nation have been forced to make layoffs and cancel before and after school programs, as well as academic enrichment, professional development, services for English learners, and migrant and adult education programs.
Yeah, but to her credit, Secretary of Education Linda McMahon jumped into action just yesterday and announced that in lieu of the withheld billions in funding, the department will immediately be sending all eligible school districts a new limited edition commemorative coin set.
Nice. Those coins are very nice. So,
Well, this is very much an evolving news story. 23 states sued in federal court over what they say is the unconstitutional freezing of the funding. Meanwhile, the administration partially relented and released $1.4 billion of the funds that schools had planned on for summer school because, well, it turns out it's already summer. And even as I speak, things have evolved some more. The Department of Education now says it plans to soon release all of the remaining previously frozen funding. Although my advice to schools is to wait until that check from the feds actually clears.
Absolutely. And it's also it messes with your mind, right? So one day the money's not there, and then all of a sudden, oh, it is. And then, oh, it's gone again. And well, no, we'll give you some of this, but we're going to take this. And it's very difficult to try to plan forward on any professional development, any learning, any materials. I mean, it's very difficult at this point in time.
Well, you have survived the first game. Our next game is one we call Education Data Points of the Month. And we actually have a new theme song to roll out for this game.
Education Data Points of the Month.
Hey, that is really catchy. Can we hear that again?
Education Data Points of the Month.
You're going to be singing that later.
For sure. All right. I'm going to give each of you a number and 3 options, and you have to guess what that number or data point actually represents. So, Holly, we'll start with you. The first data point question is 16%. Is 16% A, the percentage of teachers who said in a survey they intended to leave their jobs in 2025? Is it B, the percentage of teachers who said that after teaching all day, they had driven for Uber or Lyft at night within the last 12 months? Or is it C, 16%, the percentage of math teachers who said that they have Googled how to do a particular math lesson while they were teaching it during class?
I would say C.
You're going to go with the math teachers.
I think I'm going to go with the math teachers because I'm thinking the first 2 are a little low.
Well, it actually is A, Holly. It's 16% of teachers said they intended to leave their job, according to a RAND State of the American Teacher Survey.
Oh, and that, you know what that reality is? I thought that was higher.
Well, believe it or not, this represents some positive news over the past surveys. So it's actually down from 22% who said they intended to leave in 2024.
Good. I'm glad I'm wrong.
No. So I am curious. Both of you started as teachers. Did either of you have a moment when you were young teachers where you thought to yourself, I've got to get out of this profession, got to get out of education?
The first time I was told I'm going to sue you. Didn't know how to deal with that. I would say for me, early on, no. I was actually very lucky with my teaching experience. I had very supportive administrative team. I had very supportive community. I had very supportive kids. We're talking 30 years ago, right? So it was definitely different then. But I would never say in my early years of teaching, I didn't have a moment of, I need to get out. Now, what am I doing? That's a whole other question. but I need to get out.
I was 3 weeks into my first year teaching. I spoke about this recently. I gave my kids a test, and 95% of my kids were Latino, but 90% of them couldn't find Mexico on a map. The vast majority were Mexican in Silmar. And when I went to my mentor teacher, long story short, he just said, Jose, and he wanted to help me. He was doing the best he could, but he said, Jose, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And he was looking to give me absolution, and instead I was angered. And I think that was the turning point. It was 3 weeks into my first year. I think I could have taken that absolution and wrote it out for the next 30 years and retired. I could say, I'm absolved. It's their fault. But I was one of those kids. And so I never saw it. I was always fueled. 3 years later, I became National Board Certified. Alex and I were California Teachers of the Year. And I just kept fighting all along. And people began to notice that I couldn't do everything, but I could do something.
That's great. Well, we are so grateful, and I know the students in both of your states are grateful that you stuck with teaching and education. I do have one last item to add on to this particular story. While the overall trend is declining, according to the survey, Black teachers were significantly more likely than white teachers to report that they were intending to leave education in 2025. Are we still even allowed to talk about data and disparities by race and ethnicity anymore?
Well, Paul, I'm not sure that's such a goo-ah. Hey, I got it. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Nice, Alex.
I don't know if I got respect for you on that one, Alex, or I lost respect for you. I don't know. I don't know if I gained or lost. I'm not sure.
I'll take any sort of movement at that point.
All right, Jose Luis. Well, the next data point is for you.
Okay.
And it is 1,400. Is this the number of employees the Supreme Court said the U.S. Department of Education could move forward in laying off? Is it B, the number of pies that students at Jensen High School in Ann Arbor, Michigan were allowed to throw at their teachers as a reward for dramatically increasing their test scores? Or is it C, 1,400. Alex's score on the SAT.
Well, I'm going to go with a plus elimination. There's no way Alex got a 1,400 SAT.
Hey, I certainly did not get into Yale or nursing. That is for sure.
I'm gonna say 1,400 employees at the California or at the Department of Education were let go.
That is absolutely correct. Sadly, it's A, the number of employees the Supreme Court ruled could be laid off or actually re-laid off by the Department of Dismantling Education after a U.S. district judge had previously paused the action. So I have to be honest, when I first heard this news, I was, of course, first and foremost, sad for all the department staffers. But I'm also concerned there's now 1,400 more people who may be starting education-related podcasts.
Yeah, that's
about that.
ooh, that's a lot of competition. You know, they may start podcasts, Paul, but they'll never have Tommy Dunbar and the Teacher's Pets for their in-show band.
That's right.
Not fun fact, but about that 1,400, I was actually on Capitol Hill in the Department of Education when they found out that at midnight half of them weren't going to have a job. That was rough. And then walking through the halls that next day, of course, they had the next day. They only had one day to move out, and to walk through those halls and just see people moving, it was absolutely surreal. That was a rough day for sure.
I think it's again, it's emblematic of how much people don't understand education and how important it is that you could just lay off teachers, you could lay off the Department of Education, and it won't make a difference. I think it's very short-sighted, but I think it's very much a symbol of how our country feels about education in general. We don't understand it, and it's because I had a teacher, therefore I can teach. Just because I went to the doctor doesn't mean I could be a doctor. But everybody thinks that. Everybody thinks that it's just easy. And would I get summers off? And it's just such a misunderstanding that I really feel like this is the time where teachers need to be loud. Educators need to be loud, and they need to be heard, and they need to make themselves defensible. They need to be very good at what they do. I mean, they got to be rock solid, as if they weren't already.
All right, Holly and Jose Luis, you are both doing great. Paul, what's our quiz score so far?
Okay, the score so far is Jose Luis 3 and Holly 3. However, we actually just received a letter moments ago from the Department of Education advising us to impound all previously approved points until a further review. So for now, the score reverts back to 0-0. Sorry, folks.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next game then so that they can earn some more points, Paul. This game is called Which is More, and it's very easy to play. I'll give you two items, and you just have to say which one of them there is more of. Holly, we're going to start with you this time. Right. Which is more? The percentage of Chicago public school principals who said that what would most improve their impact as a principal is more time to devote to instructional leadership, or the percent of principals who said more financial resources. So is it more time or more money that would most improve their impact?
More time.
You are correct. Yeah. Principals said more time to devote to instructional leadership would most improve their impact. This was the top-rated answer at 27%, according to the Chicago Public Schools annual survey of principal satisfaction. Coming in second in the survey, 19% said additional financial resources. By the way, 7% of principals said that spending less time completing surveys would improve their impact. Jose, Holly, where do you fall on this? More time, more money, something else?
Oh, I'm absolutely more time. Absolutely. I have spent the majority of my professional career working in high poverty schools. I had to go into everything knowing that I go in with it with the mindset that I have no money to do whatever. So what can I do to make the most impact? And that was whether I was a teacher or I was an administrator. And it was time, and it was working with the teachers. It was working with the kids. It was working with the community, whatever I could do, local businesses, to help those kiddos and help those teachers with instructional leadership. And then from there, it just went to it just spread out. But it was definitely more time. Now, money would be nice, but you can buy the best program in the world, but if you don't have the instructional piece behind it, it's just going to sit on a shelf. So that's why I think that.
All right, Jose, this next one is for you. Which is more, the number of states that have passed laws requiring that the 10 Commandments be displayed in all public school classrooms, or the number of states that require the U.S. Constitution to be posted in classrooms? So is it more commandments or more constitutions?
I would say more commandments. More states have passed legislation wanting more and more 10 Commandments posted rather than the Constitution.
And you are correct. More states require the 10 Commandments to be displayed. 3 states have now passed laws. Louisiana was the first in 2024, followed by Arkansas and Texas this year. The new laws are already being aggressively challenged in court because, oh yeah, thou shalt not treat the separation of church and state as optional. Meanwhile, to the best of our layoff-depleted research team's knowledge, only one state, Arizona, expressly requires that a copy of the Constitution be displayed in classrooms in grades 7 through 12. The Arizona law also insists that the Constitution be legible and manufactured in the U.S., which are nice touches. The frame, however, can be manufactured in China.
That's awesome. I feel like I always put the Constitution up in my class, regardless of my politics, because I always thought it was a beautiful document. I always liked the fact it could be amended, which, people always talk about the Constitution can't be changed. Yes, they're called amendments. It can be changed. I love that about it. And I love the fact that the people who made it weren't perfect. 10 Commandments are, that's personal. That's something I don't want anybody teaching my children my morals and values. I want to teach that. So I think it's interesting as a principal, and then as a teacher, you could always find the Bill of Rights and the Constitution in my classroom. It had nothing to do with my politics. It had to do with my job as I felt, a teacher.
It amazes me. So I teach school law as a graduate course for administrators, and every year the separation of church and state, that there is less and less separation as we're going. It's amazing.
Hey, one last thing, too. I also understand that several Texas legislators have also now introduced a bill that will require a 16 by 20 inch poster in every class that depicts the 3 main fossil fuels.
Ooh, I wonder if they'll be able to say all fossil fuels are welcome here.
And welcome back to the Some of the Above Education News Comedy Quiz. And let's hear it for our in-show band, Tommy Dunbar and the Teacher's Pets. Yeah.
Tommy.
In just a bit, our guest contestants will take on our world-famous True, False, or What challenge. But first, this is one of my favorite parts of the show, where we get to learn more about our guests. So, Jose Luis, let's start with you. And you served for many years as a classroom teacher, and then you became the principal of an innovative community school in Los Angeles. So tell us a bit more about the shift that you made and also the work of that school.
I was a teacher, and I just thought, what if, since I don't have all the time in the world, what if my students were reading All Quiet on the Western Front while I taught about World War I instead of me doing both? And I talked to an English teacher, and an English teacher said, I'd love to work with you on that. And that was 2 teachers. We started the Humanitas Academy. It grew into a whole school. But I had this realization, I think it was like in 2003. I just said, until we meet all of our students' needs, they're going to continue to fail. And then I started reading about Maslow's hierarchy of need, this idea that people are not broken, their needs aren't being met. So let's meet their needs, and then they can reach self-actualization. We formed our whole school based on the idea that we will achieve self-actualization. And that vision and mission still sits there today. I haven't been at the school for about 6 years. It's still there today. But the idea of bringing in the community partners was just it was it just absolutely made sense to me. It was a natural next step was I cannot do everything. So let's leverage the assets of my community. So I began leveraging my community resources to improve student achievement, and it worked. We were the highest performing school in Los Angeles. We were the only non-magnet school that had a 99% graduation rate and a 99% A through G matriculation rate. A through G matriculation was the classes you need to get into college. So I used my voice as a principal to bring in my community resources, and now it's commonplace. Now it's actually policy. Community schools are actually a policy. Anyways, I that's a long answer to your question.
Yeah. I mean, it is a terrific school, and you've earned some accolades well-deserved for your role in it. So, Holly, you also started your career as a teacher before you became a principal at a young age. What was that like, making the shift to leading an entire team of educators and staff for the first time?
Actually, it wasn't that bad. And this is why. Because I was a teacher for 3 years, and then I became a teaching principal. And so I was still able to teach while learning how to do the leadership role. I was 27 years old, and I was a teaching principal in a very small, very, very small rural school in Maine that was literally 30 miles from the nearest gas station, grocery store, the whole 9 yards. And the whole school pre-K to 8 had 13 kids. So I was 27 years old being called the school marm. And I thought it was hilarious, right? Brought me back to Little House on the Prairie days. And on my birthday, the whole town actually threw me a potluck. So, I mean, that was really neat. That was unique. But the teaching principal piece made me realize, how important it is to stay in the classroom. And it allowed me to move around the state. So I was from very rural Aroostook County, went to very rural Washington County, went to very urban down in Cumberland, which was, very affluent, which was completely different. And I moved from that to the highest poverty elementary school in the state. So, yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. And then when I got done, I was able to move into the Maine Principal Association, where I literally get to work with every building administrator in the entire state. So I'm very fortunate.
That's great. And so, many people, as you know, regard being principal as the single toughest job in education. And that was before principals had to worry about things like ICE raids, impounded funding, evacuating campuses during wildfires, mask mandates, AI, etc. So just wondering, why in the world would anyone want to be a school principal these days?
My opinion? I think it's the best job in the world. I absolutely do. It's the job that allows me to work with kids. It allows me to work with teachers. It allows me to maybe even potentially make a difference in the community, because I get to work with the community. I get to work with the other administrators. Is it tough? It absolutely is. That's when people are angry, they're going to come to you. That's just it. And that could be a kid, that could be a staff, that could be a community member, it could be a parent. But at the exact same time, what better way what other profession can you go into a room and make a direct impact on every single person in that space every single day? Now, teachers have the ability to do that with their classroom, and that's amazing, and that's great. But a principal gets to do that with every single kid in their school. So I don't know why anyone would say, why not go into being a principal? Because it's just incredible. The impact that you can have, and then the return is tenfold.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you both. All right, we're going to lighten things up a little bit with one more thing. We always hear about those infamous times when a student gets sent to the principal's office. So I want to ask each of you to give us your best principal's tone of voice for when you're talking to a student. Let's say one who got sent your way for doing something disruptive. So Holly, you first. Give us your best principal voice.
Well, it's hard to give a voice because it's a look, right? It was a look. And I could silence an entire auditorium with a look.
Well, let's see your look, and we'll we'll confirm it for. Okay. I'm gonna behave after seeing that.
Even though we're on Zoom, I think all the listeners just heard that look, and it was chilling.
It's the look. It's it.
All right, Jose Luis, what? Oh, sorry, Holly, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, otherwise, if it was words, I would just very quietly say, "Excuse me," because the quieter you are, the more they're going, "Oh boy."
All right, Jose Luis, what about you? You got your best principal's voice for us?
Just real quick, what Holly said just a second ago, when somebody comes in the office, nobody ever comes in the office going, I want to talk to the lunch lady. Everybody says, I want to talk to the principal. And so naturally, exactly what you said, Holly, I lower my voice so they have to come a little closer. But I literally want them to understand, like, no, I see you, I hear you. But we're not going to act like that here. I have students that come in. I don't need you screaming and yelling at my teachers. I don't need you acting like a fool in this teacher's class. Do you understand that she has a child and she's a parent? She's a human just like you. Would you want somebody screaming at your own mother? No. And so I lower my voice and I try to move in, and it seems to be incredibly effective.
The other thing that I had was I had a rocking chair. I always had a rocking chair in my office. And the first thing I would have them do, and it didn't matter how tall, they could be 3 years old, they could be a full grown adult, sit in the rocking chair. And then when you're ready, we'll talk.
That's creepy. That would scare me. I would sit there though, for sure, but I'd be scared.
All right. Well, next is a new game we created just for the two of you that we're calling Hollywood Principals. Both of you have experienced serving in what many people believe is the most difficult role in education, the principal. And principals have been celebrated and other times mocked in our popular culture for decades. So in this game, we're going to ask you about Hollywood principals, those school leaders from TV and movies who have led their schools with varying degrees of success. So I'm going to give you the names of fictional principals, and you have to answer with the name of the TV show or movie that character is in. So, for instance, if I ask Albus Dumbledore is the name of the headmaster in which movies based on a series of best-selling books, you would, of course, say...
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Got it? All right.
Are they all like that? Are they all like that?
Yeah. I hope they're all like that.
All right. Well, each question is worth 1 point, and I'll take turns asking each of you. And we have a bunch of these, so we will go quickly. Holly, Ava Coleman is the principal of Abbott Elementary School in which current TV sitcom?
I don't know. I don't watch it.
Let me ask it again. Ava Coleman is the principal of Abbott Elementary School in which current TV sitcom?
Abbott Elementary.
You got
Hey.
it. All right, Jose Luis. Seymour Skinner is the name of the principal at Springfield Elementary School in which long-running animated series?
I'm going to say The Simpsons.
Ooh,
Hey.
point for Jose Luis. Very nice. Okay, these might get a little bit tougher. Holly, Ed Rooney was the name of the principal at a suburban Chicago high school in which 1980s movie?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Anybody?
Yes.
Anybody? You got it. Very nice. Okay. Jose Luis, actor and former Saturday Night Live cast member Tim Meadows played Principal Ron Duvall in both the 2004 movie and the 2024 musical adaptation of what?
The Mean Girls.
Whoa!
Woo!
Very nice. Nice work. All right, Holly. Richard Belding was the name of the principal at Bayside High School in Los Angeles in which early 1990s TV series?
Saved by the Bell.
Whoa!
Woo!
These principals are on fire. Bonus point for either of you. Anyone know his catchphrase? It was, hey, 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 what's going on here? All right. Jose Luis, Principal Victoria was the name of the longtime principal at South Park Elementary School in this TV series that began in 1997 and is still running.
South Park.
Yeah!
Yes.
Got it. Holly, Principal Figgins was the leader at an Ohio high school in which TV series that had everyone singing from 2009 to 2015? Let me say that again in my
Say it
trademark.
again.
Let me say that again in my trademark hint style. Principal Figgins was the leader at an Ohio high school in which TV series that had everyone singing
Okay.
from 2009 to 2015.
I'm going to say High School Musical.
Oh, very close. The answer was Glee. But I got to say, I did love High School Musical.
Okay, all right.
As well as High School Musical, the series. All right, Jose Luis. Miss Agatha Trunchbull was the headmistress at Cruncham Hall in the 1996 movie that was also adapted as a musical in the 2010s.
I don't know.
You need a clue?
I'm going to have to say Wicked. I don't know.
Ooh, I'll give you a clue first. It's originally based on a book by Roald Dahl.
I don't know.
The answer was Matilda. Great job to both of you. Put some major points on the board. One last bonus question. This is a jump ball for either of you, and this one goes way back before all of our times, except maybe yours, Paul. Michael Woodman was the name of the principal at James Buchanan High School in Brooklyn, in which 1970s TV sitcom?
Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh,
Yes.
Paul, you've got a friend.
Well done.
That's before my time. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Me
Hey,
too, Holly. Me too.
Hey, Jose Luis, what about some carpool karaoke on this one? Do you know the theme song?
Oh, my gosh.
Here,
No,
I'll,
no,
I'll
I-
start us out. Welcome back
Yeah,
to that
welcome
same
back.
old place that you laughed about.
Welcome
back.
There it is. There it is.
There it is. Right
Nice.
on.
I'm
Well,
sorry. I'm
just-
too old. I couldn't hear you, Paul. What was that?
Well, just for the record, Jose Luis and Holly, do you have a favorite Hollywood principal?
No, I would say Rooney because that's what I didn't want to be.
You know,
Go ahead.
Morgan Freeman in that one, I can't even think of the name of the movie. I think it's Lean on Me, where
You know me, yeah.
and it was good and bad. Is like the idea that he had a relationship, but the fact he carried a bat was just kind of silly to me. The idea that he built relationships with students was always very important. But at the beginning, he goes, "You don't want me. You don't want my style." And he tried to talk himself out of the job. He was never trying to seek it. So I always appreciate that about him.
All right. Well, it is time for our final game, the rapid response round we call True, False, or What? Alex is going to ask each of you a series of 3 questions. For each one, you have to tell us whether it's a true story, whether we made it up, or you can simply shake your head and say, What? So in this final game, each question will be worth 1 point, but if you get all 3 correct, you'll also receive a bonus point. And before we start, I'm going to remind our listeners of the latest score. We have restored those earlier points that were impounded, and we also gave each of you some additional bonus points because we don't ever want to get called into your offices and get that look. So the score now stands at Jose 9 and Holly 8.
Ooh, what a showdown. All right. And as a reminder, guests, whoever finishes with the fewest points gets held back and has to join us again for a future episode. So, Holly, since you have the fewest points, we'll start with you.
Right.
A new law in Florida requires that maps of the world used in classrooms or in textbooks now show Greenland as part of the United States. Is that true, false, or what?
I say false.
That is false. However, a newly passed law, HB 549, does direct state agencies and district school boards to update, change, or create instructional materials that rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. All right, next question. True, false, or what? In the most recent school board election in Grossmont Unified School District in San Diego County, the names of 3 dead people appeared on the ballot.
Oh, I want to say true, but I'm going to say what?
Well, that is false.
Wouldn't surprise me.
That is false. The people were not dead, they were fake. According to the San Diego Union Tribune, members of the Grossmont Union High School District community are riled up about an alleged scheme that placed 3 fake candidates on the ballot to try to divert votes away from the other candidates. The 3 candidates did not report any campaign expenditures or contributions, nor did they have websites or social media accounts, and they never showed up for any debates. I got to say, fun fact, this is actually where I did my student teaching.
That's fake. I don't believe that. That's fake.
Yeah. Was your master teacher real or fake?
All right, Holly, third question for you. True, false, or what? A high school in Bridgeport, Connecticut installed a touchless salad bar in the cafeteria. No tongs or utensils required.
True.
That is true. The sensor-powered salad bar at Fairchild Wheeler Interdistrict Magnet Campus in Bridgeport lets students dispense toppings. No tongs required. It's making healthy salads 3 times more popular, according to the Connecticut Post.
So I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so I actually really like this concept. I could do this.
Well, I wonder, how does this even work? You know, did you wave your hand in front of the sensor to make the tomatoes come out, or what's the deal?
You had me at salad. I just think we always just, if it wasn't greasy, we never served it. So.
Well, at any rate, at least I won't be leaving the bacon bit spoon in the ranch dressing.
Will not.
All right, Paul, how many points did Holly earn this round?
All right. Holly got all 3 correct, so she also gets the bonus point. So Holly now has a total of 12 points to Jose Luis's 9.
All right, Jose Luis. Well, here we go for the win. True, false, or what? Scores on statewide assessments in Los Angeles Unified School District improved across all grade levels for the 2nd consecutive year.
True.
That's right, and hoping this one hits close to home for you. LAUSD students didn't just make it back to pre-pandemic performance levels, they have now exceeded those levels. The district superintendent told the LA Times, "We established a new high watermark." This year's gains appeared to be across the board, reaching students with disabilities, students from low-income families, Latino students, and Black students. All right, second question. True, false, or what? A half dozen elementary schools in Sturgis, Michigan have playgrounds that include QR-coded signs.
True?
Yes, that is true. I mean, could we ruin recess anymore?
Yeah.
Actually, the QR codes are just one facet of these award-winning inclusive playgrounds, which were designed with input from educators. The Sturgis School's QR codes link to play-based learning resources. According to the superintendent, the playgrounds have removed barriers and motivated students to play together. All right, Jose Luis. Third question, true, false, or what? A school custodian in Utah got students to stop doing graffiti on his campus by instead joining them at night in doing graffiti on other public buildings in town, like the courthouse and city hall.
That's true.
No, that is false. However, Andy Marcus, assistant facilities manager at Draper Park Middle School in Utah's Canyon School District, did launch an after-school mentoring program for students who vandalize school property. According to Ed Week, Andy lends students a listening ear while teaching them to care for their school. And he was recently named the 2025 National Education Support Professional of the Year. Let's hear it for Andy. Well done.
Hey, Andy.
Remind me of this math teacher I heard that was sort of rapping math because rap was so big. It was such a weird thing. That's why I thought it was true. I heard that weird story. I don't know if you heard about rapping mathematician. Weirdo.
Well,
I can't even imagine rapping mathematicians.
I don't know what happened to that guy, but I will say just line up the dot and give it all you got.
No, the video was winner.
What's that, Molly?
So the video.
That itty bitty dot video is still going strong on YouTube. All right, Paul, how did our contestants do?
Well, this was an absolute close match, but the final score was Holly 12 and Jose Luis 11.
Oh,
So, Jose Luis, that means you got to come back and join us again in the future.
El placer es mío. I'd love to. You guys are great. I'd love to.
well, a very special thanks to both of our incredible guests, educator leaders Holly Blair and Jose Luis Navarro.
Thank you for what you're doing. I think that this podcast is great. Keep doing the hard work.
You're making education funny, informative, and I really appreciate that. So it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Holly, it was great to meet you too. And Paul and Alex, great to see you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much to both of you. We also want to say a special thanks as well to our in-show band, Tommy Dunbar and the Teacher's Pets.
And to all of you, our millions of listeners, we hope you've learned some, laughed some, and gained a nugget or two of knowledge to pass off as your own.
So until next time, Alex.
Until next time, Paul.
Line up the dot, give it all you got.